quick introduction. If you don't know me, my name is Jessica Gaida. My maiden name is Beeman. I grew up in this church. I grew up here in Belleville. Um, as I was growing up in this church, I went to Sunday school. I went to MYF, which is kind of what we call Blast today. I was part of the youth band. I went to Camp Lakeview many years, and I also participated at Army, which is like our service projects. We would go to another city that needed help, and we would help families there. Additionally, I had my confirmation and my baptism here at this church. Those were on the same day. I was baptized the same day I got confirmed. And I actually have a bookmark here that my mom and dad gave me on that day. So that was June 3rd, 2001, to Jessica, on your baptism and confirmation day, into the Christian faith, claim the name, love daddy and mama. And the bookmark says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. So also growing up in this church, outside of that was a Bible verse that I carried all throughout my life, all throughout my youth and childhood. But there's also a song, and we sing it in our church, and it's called "Here I Am, Lord." And the words say, I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry. All who dwell in darkened sin, my hand will save. And then it goes into the chorus, which is, Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord. If you lead me, I will hold your people in my heart. So if we sing that song in church, do not turn around and look at me, because I'm probably trying to hold back the tears. So like I said, my upbringing was here in Belleville. I graduated from high school here, but like many high school students in a small town, I couldn't wait to get out of here. I was leaving for the big city, and that big city was Austin. So went off to college and lived in Austin for about 10 years before, guess what? We're back. So when Roxy reached out and asked me to speak at this Lenten lunch, I knew I needed to start my story whenever we were still living in Austin, and how we made our transition back, and what we're doing, the blessings that followed upon hearing God call us back home. So it was Christmas 2020, and I was working for a construction company as a project manager. Like I said, it was Christmas. I had taken the time off. Christmas to me is very sacred. Many traditions growing up with my family, just being with family, all the parties you go to as kids, you're getting gifts, just a very sacred time. My son was born, so he would have been 2 at this time, and I just wanted to make it special. So I had taken off work, and everybody knew. My clients knew, my teammates knew, but I was getting emergency phone calls about construction sites that we had going on, and I felt very defeated. This was supposed to be a sacred time that I wanted to spend with my family, but I had these emergencies that had to be taken care of. And it just led to anxiety and burnout. And I remember crying and praying to God, saying, please, I just want this time to rest and relax and be with family. And I just had this gentle presence come over me. And the word that was spoken to me was move. And in my mind, great God, you show me the next job that I'm supposed to take, and I will move. You've opened doors before, you've set up the connections before, and you lay it all out, and I will go. And things at work started to get better again, and my husband had the opportunity to go remote, start working from home. He had left the fire department and decided to start working remotely, which allowed him to work from anywhere. He started to say, well, wouldn't it be nice to move back to Belleville and be close to family? We had our son, could have family. He's around more family. They could help us with him. We'll have a lot more freedom. And I said, absolutely not. We are not moving back to Belleville. I am climbing the corporate ladder here. Yes, it's hard, but I am doing it. Well, guess what starts to happen again? All the anxiety returned, and it prompted me to pray about our situation, my situation. And I clearly felt the Holy Spirit urging me to move. It was obvious that God was working through my husband, telling him, let's move back. He doesn't have any ties to Belleville. He doesn't have family. Only my family is here. So we move. I give it all to God. I say, okay, we're going to move, but I don't know what I'm going to do for a job. I don't know where I'm going to live. There's all these things that need to fall into place before we can just pick up and leave. And but I clearly surrendered, like the song, and said, here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I've heard you calling in the night, and I will go, Lord, if you lead me. So that happened probably spring of 2021, whenever I finally said, okay, we're going to do this. And by summer of 2021, we were back in Belleville. He had a plan for me. He didn't take me long. I landed a job in Brenham. I'm still there today. I love it. Do not have the anxiety, still same field, but I do not have the level of anxiety that I had while we lived in Austin. I mentioned to you I took off for Christmas. At my current job, I get 2 weeks off for Christmas. So I get to enjoy that time with my family. God also lined up a rent house. I don't know about y'all, but it is hard to find a rent house here in Belleville. And there happened to be one opening up, and we got accepted right away. And okay, here it is. I've got the job. We've got the house. Now all we have to do is put our house on the market in Austin. Our house was under contract within a matter of 3 to 5 days. So another way, this was right before the school year was about to start. Had no idea where I was going to place our son Gibson, and we landed the last spot at St. Mary's day school here in Belleville for his class. And there's just so many other things that have come to fruition. Some other things that had been on my heart. I knew that I wanted to build a house. I wanted a little bit of property. Did I think that was more so in the hill country in Austin? Yes. But no, whenever we moved here, we were able to do all those things that God had planted in my heart long ago, and that a lot of people thought I was foolish for dreaming about. So we've moved to Belleville. We've made the transition. Everything in Austin is over with. We're here. Whenever we moved to Belleville, we knew that we wanted to join a church. We had tried to find a church in Austin, just couldn't find the right fit. So it was great to return to this church that I grew up in, see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of my same mentors that were here whenever I was younger are still here today. So I really value and cherish those relationships. But it was last year sometime that I started to feel that tug at my heart again. And, once you hear God once, moving forward, what that tug and what that whisper feels like. And so I began praying and listening to what he wanted me to do. Didn't know. I wanted to become involved in the church. And I said, once again, here I am, Lord. I'll be your hands and feet. So this time he directs me to volunteering at Blast. And I inform Hillary of my intention to help, thinking I would be something like a hall monitor or working in the kitchen with Miss Peterson and her team. And so I tell Hillary I'll assist. And the next thing I know, I'm an assistant teacher. And I instantly, in my mind, start backpedaling like, I am not qualified to do this. I'm still learning about God and his word. How am I qualified to lead youth? This is not for me. But I came to our Sunday school class and I was a blubbering mess. I just broke down in tears and started crying. I was like, please pray for the teachers going into Blast. I can't even remember what I said, but I replayed that back in my head. I was like, man, why was I a crying mess? Like, they probably think I'm crazy. Like, this is nothing to be upset about. You're going to do fine. But it was our Sunday school class and their prayers and them wrapping me in love and, compassion and helping me through that time, that all of my fears of being a teacher were dismissed. I mean, I went to training and God had given me the people, the tools, and the resources to lead those students or those kids. He used Hillary. Hillary had a training session on it, and we went over it. Had a study guide. It's like, man, okay, this is going to be a lot easier than I thought. And it's been very rewarding. So I teach the kindergarten class. They can be rambunctious. So Hillary, I'm an assistant teacher, and then I think put me in one of the strongest willed classes, but they are great, and I'm really enjoying it. So just looking back, our move to Belleville, God has been present and intertwined throughout all of it. He has given us all the tools and the resources and set the path for us to make it back to Belleville, listening to his word, listening to the things he's saying, for us to move back here, for then to lead us to join the church, be a part of a Sunday school class, and lead Blast, be a teacher at Blast. So there's many other stories intertwined of how God has been faithful to me and my family. But we'll save that for another time. And some of it's still being written, So I just want to leave you all with this. If you hear the calling of God to move or to share your heart with your Sunday school class or somebody at the church, or to lead in a way at the church, and maybe you have self-doubt like I did, Do not be afraid. Pray and simply say, "Here I am, Lord, and I will go if you lead me," because He has an amazing plan for you. Thank you.